are half the population. We earn, we save, and we endure. But the question is, do we invest? Money Matters for Her is an initiative by mutual fund Sahi Hai to set the ball rolling for financial investment discussions by the women for the women. At Mutual Fund Sahi Hai, we are dedicated to normalizing investments for women. You know, women have been known to hesitate to talk about investments. They earn but seldom invest financially. However, the tides are turning, and how? The ancient methods of saving money in the earthen pots or rice containers, well, they're becoming history. Today, we are becoming more aware of our needs, our future investments, and we are talking about them. We deserve a platform where we can communicate about our dreams, our fears, and our money, and are not mansplained. I'm Xenia Fernandez, and this Women's Day, we bring to you the pioneers of diverse portfolios to come and talk to you about investment. We hope to begin a conversation, and we hope to shatter the stereotypes that have fettered our women and have forced them behind virtual veils. In today's edition of Money Matters for Her, we are joined by Ms. Meghna Gupta, Head Human Resources at Axis Mutual Fund. Being in the industry for over 2 decades now, Meghna really understands the business and the inner workings of it at the back of her hand. She's an enigma, a futurist, and such an inspiration for every single woman who hesitates at the thought of finance and investment. Through the roller coaster of our sessions, you will meet women from varied fields. Some have trumped the financial ladders, and others, well, they just lead. Now, Meghna is the ideal agglomeration of both worlds. Being in HR in a mutual fund company sets her apart. She knows finance, and of course, she also knows people. She understands the delicate relationship between both of them, and today, she is with us to shed some light on her journey as a woman navigating through the financial world. Meghna, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here. How are you feeling today?
Oh, excited to looking forward to our conversation.
So are we. So I want to begin by asking you, Meghna, of course, you're such an inspiration for everyone that's watching and listening to us right now. So we're very curious to know that what led you up to here? What is the dream that led you to become who you are right now?
So thanks so much for the lovely introduction, Xenia. Well, the learning has been fairly long, but as they say, you don't realize how the time flies when you really enjoy it. And I guess that's the case with me too. Started my career 2 decades back. I come from a family where people believe that academics is what sets you apart or sets the road for you to travel on. Right. My father being a scientific officer, my mother being a lecturer, my sister being a civil engineer in her times, my brother being a management graduate. I guess I didn't have a choice but to also choose the same path. And I think the journey has been fantastic. From the dream perspective, I think the goals have been extremely dynamic. What you thought was a goal and then you're set for life is probably been a fast moving one. It keeps changing time and again. It's never been a constant. But what I did realize that as part of growing up, we were exposed to being opinionated. We had a point of view to share within our family. We used to have conversation about everything possible under the sun, and we were asked to kind of share our thoughts, our views, our opinions about it. And that made me kind of ready for the life in the corporate world. I don't think I've looked back and ever said that, okay, have I chosen a wrong line in my career? It's only something that I have built on. Interacting with people has made me much more evolved as an individual. Intellectual conversations, gaining knowledge, gaining perspectives has been what drove me in the initial years of my career and what keeps me going even today.
That's fantastic, Meghna. Thank you so much. So, Meghna, we've spoken to various financial heads about investments, and of course, we're talking about money. But with you, I'm really curious to know, according to you, how do you think money connects with people, especially with women and the women of today? Because as you know, finance is majorly a male-dominated territory area or even a conversation. So, how do you think we can make some tangible changes to the current structure and the way we function?
Awesome question, Zinia. But I think what we should start with is money. Money does not select a gender. You know, the need of the money is gender agnostic. Lakshmi ki puja har insan karta hai, whether it is a male or a female.
Bilkul.
Right? Money is definitely needed for our basics, but definitely it doesn't end there. You know, life, we all have aspirations in our life to kind of get the better of the life, and money helps us achieve that. Women are no different. They too have those needs, right? They too would love to kind of spend their money the way they wish to. So in India, I think the primary care responsibility lies more with the women. And therefore, when they basically learn and start earning, their life is spent more about giving the money towards the care of their own family members.
Yes.
They definitely do spend on themselves to kind of pamper them at times. But I think the journey should continue beyond that. It's very, very important for the women to have our own independence and also a financial independence. The planning towards that is not something that they should ever shy from. They have been the best budget managers in the country. You know, every woman has been running the household with the budget that's been given to them beautifully. I don't think we've ever kind of had women come back and you know, said that okay, nahi paisa kam tha. But they have managed the whole month with that amount of money, taking care of every needs of their family. So I think it's just the inhibition in the minds of the women that the responsibility should lie with the men, whereas they probably are much more pro at it. And one more reason why the women should basically look at spending time on the financial planning is when a man basically comes and talks about money, it is about taking care of the responsibility of the family. But when the women talks about money and the importance of money, the children tends to kind of pick that up much better in their life.
Imbibe it, yes.
Much, much better. And I think that's a shift that we as a country can definitely see.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. We take pride in money management because whenever we speak about our mothers or, you know, as we call them, the home ministers of the house,
Absolutely.
we talk very greatly and highly about how we manage things. And I think we need to move from management to a more decision-making role. And like you rightly said, be more comfortable with that and own that completely. You know, your answer right now has also kind of steered me to the next most natural question that comes to my mind. Having understood your background, where you come from, and you know what you think about the societal structure as far as money is concerned, I'm very curious to know, have you witnessed a change in your personal journey of financial literacy and, you know, your own investment patterns?
Oh, I had a drastic change in the journey itself. When I started my career, I was in the stage of enjoying the liberated feeling of earning for myself, you know, being able to pamper and take care of my own family or my needs, I think was giving me a bigger high. But I think after the initial years is when I realized that there is a limited pool of money available, and if I need to kind of sustain it, I better start to see how it can kind of grow for itself. And that's how I started to get keenly involved in what are the various platforms, what are the various engines available to help us kind of build on that money. Believe me, the journey hasn't been easy, but I've been lucky to kind of come across many people who have guided me. Being in the industry has definitely been an added advantage, surely, but asking the right questions, the right time has definitely helped me kind of improve my level of understanding about the whole financial planning. I started very small. I remember my first SIP that I started with was just 500 rupees, you know, and I used to wonder, can I do something better than this 500 rupees for myself rather than invest, which I don't even know whether it's going to come back to me as a basic principal amount. But when you see the whole account statement and showing you that, okay, there has been an increase in what you started with, definitely gives you a whole lot of new confidence. And I started very small. I started talking to a lot of people. I started doing a lot of reading. Internet has plethora of knowledge available out there to just pick up and start building on. But the chances of failure for a woman is going to be very, very difficult. They have been managing the home so beautifully, their life so beautifully, that they're anyway very, very thoughtful, very, very futuristic when they kind of decide as to how they're going to do their financial planning. But I'm very sure it's going to be not a very difficult journey for the women of our country to basically start doing your financial planning.
Absolutely. And I think uh, even though, to date, when you talk about starting an SIP at 500 rupees, of course, you probably smile about it or laugh about it. However, I think that was a milestone beginning. And there's no amount that's a small amount. There's no step that's a small
Absolutely.
step. To begin to do something that could multiply, and like you said, with women and money management, it's bound to multiply.
Absolutely.
So, Meghna, you told us the story of how you started with investments. So, tell me, what would you suggest to the women who are watching and listening to us right now? How can they take that first step?
Very easily. They have been managing the home budgets beautifully. It's just an extension of the same thing, right? Start taking the baby steps, start reading up, start understanding how this whole thing works. Talk to as many people as possible, but start somewhere. I think the main important point here is take the baby step towards investments. Walking the journey of the financial investments is something which is going to be very exciting for every woman.
And can you give us some tips on how do we build confidence about these decisions that we make? Because even when you take baby steps or as you evolve, maybe through your experiences, if you could tell us, how did you build confidence? How did you encourage yourself to go from that first step to the second step?
There's no science that there's no path of formulated formulas or a science that I had, which basically decided that should I or shouldn't I be walking on this path. It was a journey which just naturally happened. Success of step 1 led me to kind of move to the step 2. And I think that's the kind of a journey that one should see. And everybody is going to have a very personalized journey. You can't generalize and say that, okay, this is the right framework to kind of walk on. Everybody to themselves as to how they wish to start.
Absolutely. And I think the proof is in the pudding, right? You take the first step, you see what happens next, which obviously is, something that will be productive and multiplicated. And I think that itself will give you encouragement. So the answer really to that question is just take the first step.
Absolutely.
Now, Meghna, following your lead on taking the first step, do you then believe that women today are more comfortable talking about money? And why do you think that is happening right now? Or why do you think it's not happening? What is the gap that you think we need to fill?
So I think there is huge disparity that exists in India. There is a set of population who probably are fighting a battle of existence, and there is a set of population which is basically all ready to fly and rule the whole world. So there are two different segments of people that we are addressing here. But if I were to address the needs of the latter, I think they have all the possible initiatives, drive, enthusiasm to create a space for themselves. They are not they're not worried about what the other whole world is going to look me at or be judgmental about it. And these are the set of people who are born confident. I think we had a career that we started which did the trial and errors, guidance and the others, but I think the Gen Z of the women that I see here, they are born confident.
Yes. Tell me, do you think as of today women are more comfortable talking about money with other women? And why do you think that has happened?
So I don't think there is a direct answer to this, Xenia. But let me try and draw a parallel. When we select the gynac in our life, we select that gynac basis the capability of the gynac and our comfort. These are the two very important aspects when we choose the gynac. And I think it goes for the same logic applies for the financial planning also. You go to a person you're very comfortable with because it's finally your own money that you're managing, right?
Yes.
So you go to the person who you trust, whom you believe is having your best interest in mind and who is equally capable. If it means talking to both men and women, it's a personal choice, right? But there may be cases where the women is feeling that maybe if I go to a women advisor, they probably can empathize with our situation a little better. And not come across very condescending at times that why is the women asking these kind of questions to us. There may be cases when the women who's investing can probably want to go to the best advisor rather than selecting basis the gender of that advisor. So I think it's a choice that the women makes. You can kind of have a combination of both. Nothing stops you from having the advantage of the availability of both the kinds of advisors.
Absolutely. And this is as far as advisors is concerned. How do you think we can change the conversation between women when it comes to money back at home? What do you think are the baby steps we can take there towards this change?
Start asking questions at home. If the men in your household have been the people who are basically planning the investments, start talking, having conversations. It's not that you're questioning the thought process, but you're conversing. And the opinion that you may have gained over the years by running the whole household or running your own corporate life would definitely be a value addition for the family's investments planning, right? I think one very, very important change that all of us should bring about is the kind of conversations that we have at home. Why should a financial planning be a closed door discussion between a husband and a wife? Why can't it be inclusive of the family members so that everybody is equally involved in it? Everybody is having their point of view and everybody is in together. I think that's the sum of the steps that we should definitely start with.
Wow, I think that is absolutely fantastic and totally well said. Involving every member of the family, be it even children. Financial literacy started at any age, I think, is always a great thing.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
तो finance और पैसे के बारे में बात करना सही है. Meghna, talking with you, as I'm listening to you, I think it has been an investment experience in itself because there is so much that we have learned today. You've helped us revisit some of the basics, and then you've also helped us sort of, shift the furniture in our minds when it comes to our own personal conversation about money, but more importantly about investments. And for that, I can't thank you enough.
You're most welcome.
But before I bid you goodbye, I would like to ask you to indulge in a quick rapid fire.
Oh,
see,
wow,
no
super.
talk show. Yeah, I mean, come on, no conversation is complete without a rapid fire, right? So, are you ready for this, Meghna?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes, just
Bring
like you make your investment decisions.
Bring it on.
Okay. So, here comes the rapid fire. What is more important, patience or swiftness?
Patience for sure. We spend 20 years of our life to get an academic degree. Then you kind of have 20 years of time that you give to your career. So, clearly patience.
What is the one book that you remember reading even today?
Not a book that I remember reading today, but what I'm reading today, I can probably give that reference. So, a book called as a Daily Stoic, which basically gives you life wisdoms in 2 seconds.
So, Meghna, share some wisdom with us and tell me what's your favorite quote?
Not exactly a quote, but we all know that the earth revolves around the sun. Let's replace earth with ourselves and sun with our dreams and revolve around the dreams.
Tell us what's your favorite mutual fund feature and why?
SIP, surely. Like I said, being invested, being long term is the whole mantra behind being successful in life. I think SIP takes that route.
Okay, give us one more mantra then, which is your mantra for life.
Love your dreams and yourself more than anything in this whole world.
Meghna, thank you so much. It was such a delight to have this conversation with you. You gave us so many insights, but more importantly, you gave us quick tips and tricks, and of course, a mindset shift surely has come out of this. Thank you for taking the time and being here with us today.
My pleasure.
And of course, I would like to grab this opportunity to thank our viewers, our audiences, for being a part of this enriching session. I really hope that we have made investing for you a tad bit easier. Of course, stay tuned for our future sessions as well. Let's come together and let's pledge to understand investing and finance better.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.